as you can see, we are here like almost the entire team, and that means that everybody who has done anything for the Iron Chronicles projects are here minus one, who's currently in mandatory military service because in Greece, that's a thing. Welcome, guys. Sorry, at the same time, and seeing people popping in.
Yeah, some people are putting in.
So the team started during the period of the pandemic, where some of us could not go on with their day jobs, less previous occupations, let's say. So we started, me and Nicolas, without knowing each other yet, started writing and publishing third-party content on Dungeon Masters Guild. Being both Greek and that being rare in these circles, we kind of ended up meeting each other, chose to collaborate. Then we met George. Together we published the one that's not with us today. We published 8 titles on Dungeon Masters Guild. And then the OGL crisis happened. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It would take a bit long to go into detail now, so I won't steal our time for that. But we chose to depart from this platform for ethical reasons and launched our first Kickstarter campaign, which was for Exordium Origins of Mythos. That was a success, meaning that it could not sustain the team's future, but it could become a reality, which was the perfect stepping stone for us. And this allowed us to meet Andreas, who joined the team, and together we, 1 year after that, we delved into ZAMANORA, Ballad of the Witch. And it feels like yesterday, and it's crazy that currently we're here with you guys talking about it. So that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions regarding us and the team's background or its way of operating in general, we could go into that now or at a later stage. Otherwise, we could move straight into project-related questions.
Yep.
Standing together against the tyrannical rulers. That's quite a thing.
Tyrannical wizards. Mages. Mages of the beach.
Let's hope no Pinkertons join this call.
Yeah. If you guys don't have any questions, or if you wouldn't be too comfortable going up on the stage, then maybe you could tell us how you pretty much discovered Samanora, or what made you join the project or join the Discord. I see some people typing, so several people are typing.
For a moment, I thought, who's several?
Oh. Yeah, about Maya's question about the full adventure possibility in the future. So first of all, I'm not familiar if you're aware with the concept of adventure locales that's already in the book. The idea is that we have currently 5. Is it 5 right now, or is it 7?
Right now, it's 7.
7. So yeah, there are 7 adventure locales, which are basically settlements full with NPCs, storylines, a lot of hooks for tidbits of adventuring, and these are basically, I like to think of them as sandbox adventures. So there's a whole village ready. You have everything in it at your disposal, and you can spend many weeks adventuring in them. So this is currently, there are storylines that you can follow in them. I'm not sure if you see the demo, you can see basically a very good example of what such an adventure locale is. So there is kind of, it does look like a string of hooks. it's more of a set storyline that does not go into too much detail. So right now
Uh,
we don't have. Yeah, sure, Nikos, go ahead.
to pick it up from there, a fully
Hmm.
fleshed adventure is, of course, a different thing. And it's
Hmm.
something that we
Yeah,
would really like to do, but we were absent of the means to do it. I can say that we would definitely love to do that. We have considered the possibility in adding a fully fleshed adventure as a stretch goal, but we will see how we get with that. It could even be a
yeah,
future project in its entirety, Maya. Because
hmm,
yes, an adventure locale is not a fully fleshed adventure. It's
yeah,
a different approach.
mhm, yeah.
Meaning that
It's
a
more
fully fleshed adventure,
sandboxy.
yes, a fully fleshed adventure is not a sandbox. So
Yeah, 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 definitely.
um, I'm a sucker for folklore, myths, legends, cultural tales, as well as creatures and monsters. Perfect, with many questions, with many
Oh,
exclamation marks.
thanks to the Mappa Mundi. We are very big fans of Mappa Mundi.
I love this
We
project.
Yeah, yeah, we really liked their whole approach, man. They are so kind, and they were very on board in cross promoting. We cross promote them as well, and I hope we can do something with them in the future. They are very good people.
Where are you from, Con?
Yeah, is it the Constantinos the con from
From
Athens?
Athens.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
from or Constantina, of course.
yeah.
By the way, as a disclaimer, there are parts of the content of Zamanora Ballad of the Witch that have been kind of decided, implemented, and put into paper, but everything is still open for feedback. And we really want you guys to affect the course of this project and to be an active part of it. So, any feedback you provide, actually, it's not too late for any form of feedback regarding the project because we wish to co create it with you. We want you guys to feel represented in it, to have your active part in it. And we believe that your contributions will ultimately elevate it. So don't
Yeah,
hesitate at all to say anything.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that besides to. Oh, sorry. Oh, perfect. Wants to
I am
speak.
inviting Perfect to
Yeah,
speak up.
yeah.
It disappeared. No, good.
Uh, Hello.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Uh, I have actually three questions.
Okay.
The first one is about entropy because I love this shit. Uh,
Mhm.
since I was a kid, I thought the concept was awesome. And it's cool that it's finally being used as entropy, not like entropy, because it's often how we see it in games like this. Uh, like to know a bit more how is gonna be implemented in the mechanics, especially because how I think I talked with you guys how you guys talked earlier in some of our uh, conversations about how werewolf, vampires, and stuff like that get a bit mixed up in these cultures, folk tales, and all that. Also, I remember you guys saying that like curses will uh not evolve. What was the word? Oh, they will
Progress,
grow,
maybe. Yeah, yeah.
progress. Yes, they will progress over time, and I'm curious to see how this will work out in a game. The other two
So
questions are
let's take
just
them.
to
I- let's take them one by one, just
okay,
to be on point with each of them, if you don't mind. So,
no problem, no
um,
problem.
uh, the curses themselves are mostly mechanics which are tied to a narrative. So, since the final mechanics have not been polished or play tested, I cannot give you the uh, final view of it. But the base idea is that you slowly change. So let's say that you first become afflicted of a curse. First come the urges. Your physique, not physique, what's the word? Your body, let's say, does not change, but you start feeling animalistic urges, and this is expressed through the mechanics. A while later, a few moons later, in the case of lycanthropy, let's say, um, these urges begin to develop. Then you might have slight physical changes as well. From the moment you notice that you have been accursed, you have ways of trying to reverse this curse and lift it from you. If you don't, you eventually become a therianthrope, and it's no longer reversible. I would very much like to delve into further detail, but I would have to come up as I go because we have different ways of approaching it mechanistically, and we're going to nail it down after the campaign has been concluded to
I
its
see.
exact detail.
Yeah. So basically,
Uh,
whatever we say about mechanics does come with a caveat of this is currently what we have in mind. This may change after we receive feedback.
Yeah, and some more or less than the others. Like therianthropy
Yeah, yeah,
falls into the category of we will develop this at a later stage.
Generally with curses, we try to sort of bring in to the mechanics and to the story the idea that some of them are, in folklore, curses are very often affected by the narrative. So it's not, it's not always a mechanic, it's not always a D&D remove curse situation. So we're trying to work that in. And of course that takes a while because it's not a simple process, it's quite complex.
yeah, yeah. It kind of take away the it kind of take away the drama if it's just like, oh, okay, I'll cast remove curse and it's all solved.
It's
I
going to feel
remember.
like a quest, to remove
I
this.
was. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Nico.
The other questions that are more narrative, like I was actually curious about how Caliban come to be, and if witches are solely female, or if there's male or gender neutral counterparts.
So, for the subject of witches, I don't know if you followed an update which was dedicated on the concept of witches and where we drew
I saw
inspiration
it a
from.
bit. I saw a bit of it.
Um, our main source of inspiration, the one we decided to go with because there are many alternative narratives, is Silvia Federici's work, in particular Caliban and the Witch. We're also, as most people in the world, fans of Shakespeare, and Caliban is the son of the witch. And it's also the metaphor that Silvia Federici uses for her work. So, our intention is to promote the notions of historical accuracy, which are in line with the third wave of feminism regarding the witch hunts, and showcase the truth behind this whole very dark page of humanity's history. But at the
Yeah,
same time, we want to reach the same end. We want the witch to be terrifying. We want the witch to be wise and almighty. We just want to give witches the proper backstory of how they came to be. That said, this is the mold we're working with and the foundation upon which we will build this concept. But at the same time, the term witch will be gender neutral, meaning that
oh,
uh, we want to give this background, build upon it, reference all these things that we think are really important for today's world to be mentioned. But at the same time, a witch could be of any gender.
I
I don't
see.
know if I have answered your question properly.
No,
Yeah,
you answered
and
most of it. Just the Caliban thing, because I don't know how it is. I don't know if it's like a changeling deal, like many of times people do it like this. The baby is like Hexblood from D&D. It's like, oh, the couple had the help of a witch to conceive the baby, so the baby is gonna be born as a Hexblood. Or in Pathfinder, oh, the baby is directly a descendant from the witch, so he's gonna be born a changeling or stuff like that. I don't know if Zamanora is gonna go this same logic or if it's gonna be something else.
The base idea is that a Caliban is an individual who does not know if they are mortal or something else. They are always trying to see, to balance between being a social outcast and a member of the society. And because Zamanor is a fantastical setting, this becomes represented by the changeling feature, like their ability to shift their appearance. Like, I don't know if that's a term in English, like being a chameleon, metaphorically, like trying to fit in.
Yeah,
So we want
yeah,
to give like this fairy tale-ish connection with being a changeling as a result of trying to fit in. But of course, when we're talking about TTRPGs, this is a trait that you get from the beginning. But this is the
Yeah.
narrative behind it, basically.
And as
cool.
a minor disclaimer, the Calibans will also be, they can be male, female. They will be gender neutral
Yes.
as
Yes.
Cool,
well.
cool.
Because as in the case of hug spawns, it's mostly males or it's only males. But our Calibans will be gender neutral.
As a final note, you will notice that the term hag will not appear anywhere in Zamanora. Because again, we're trying to topple this idea of being a witch, being a hag, being like an old woman who no longer can serve society, therefore is evil and lives in the woods, etc., etc., etc. So this is also why we didn't go with the term hag spawn and chose to go with the word Caliban.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for all the answers. Thanks for, well, communicating with us most often. This is really
Thanks
cool.
for asking.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
glad for this event and, well, happy for the project.
So
Thank you very
glad to
much.
have you with us. What's your
Thank
name,
you
by
for
the
Yeah.
way?
being here, man.
Perfect.
My name is Gustavo.
Because I could say that you are perfect, but I mean, you also have a name.
Yeah,
Did you say
my name is
Gustavo?
Gustavo. Gustavo.
Mm,
Gustavo. Nice to meet you, Gustavo.
nice
For
to
you
meet you.
too.
Someone asked before, I think it was, who was it?
About the
Spirit
food
Wolf.
menu. Mm.
Our, our life's aspiration, ever since Zamanara got funded, is to evolve this project into a Balkan slash Slavic cookbook. Like, go far and wide and go into forlorn village grandma recipes and put that in a booklet. But this is an ambitious project. It may not look like it, but if we want it to be genuine, it will take
Yeah.
it will take some effort.
I
There are
think
very
that the
few things
closest.
harder. Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead, Andres.
there's very few things that are harder than getting the recipe out of the Balkan grandma. It's always,
Yes.
no, I can tell you, it's a secret.
Yeah. By the way, the closest thing that we have to what you're mentioning, Spirit Wolf, is probably the Wayfarer's Journal, because I think it's pretty cryptic what the Wayfarer's Journal currently is. We portrayed it as a notebook, but it is a lot more than that. Um, it will have a space for character sheets and your Legend of the Mist themes, etc. But we also want to give it some more flavor and add some Zamanoran phrases or things that will maybe how people greet each other. Um,
Idioms and
yeah, idioms and stuff like that. Maybe there is space in there for a recipe or two, but we'll see.
we'll try to sneak at least one recipe in there
Yeah.
for sure.
Maybe Fanuri Spy because it's also a spell, but yeah. There is for those that don't know, Con probably knows, but there is a spell in Zamara called Fanuri Spy, and it's based on Fanuropita. It's basically a pie that you bake when you are trying to find something. So it's basically a pie that helps you cast locate object. Or this is the idea behind it. Maybe this is a recipe that could end up in the, yeah, in the journal.
Do any of us know how to make that though? Like we have to find it first. 'Cause I don't know how to make it.
Yeah,
No, no, no. Grandma's recipes are not online. They're an oral tradition. Yes,
yeah,
you have to share the fun or spy with
very-
your neighbors in order for all of you to find something that was lost.
yeah. Actually, speaking of that, you mentioned the Heroes Feast. Was it a trend that everyone was making cookbooks for like the Nom Nom Nomicon with the Lovecraftian recipes, etc.? Because
Nom, nom, nom.
yeah, yeah, I kept seeing there's a store in Thessaloniki where I'm currently in, but they have like a whole shelf of World of Warcraft recipes, D&D recipes, Heroes Feast, the Nom Nom Nomicon, and stuff like that. I think it was just a trend for a year or two. Everyone did that and then stopped. Yeah, Gustavo, exactly. The type of thing that will end up in the Wayfarer's Journal.
Yes, it's called. I
It's
know the
called
ones you're
Delicious in
talking about.
Dungeon. Dungeon Meshi in Japanese, Delicious in Dungeon in the translation. And it's actually pretty good.
I
I
haven't watched it.
actually, yeah, minor disclaimer. I couldn't really get out of the first episode, but I heard that I did hear that it's also good. George is also a fan of it. He likes Dungeon Meshi. He was actually pretty shocked when I told him that it didn't hook me enough, but maybe it deserves a second shot. Yeah, so if anyone else that wants to come on for a question, or if you want us to um, expand on some subject on Zamana. Oh, Maya. Yep.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Hello, Maya. Yeah, yeah, we can hear
Hello,
you.
Maya.
Um, Hi, my name is Maya. I'm from California, but now in New Jersey. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Legend in the Mist. I mean,
Mhm.
that's fully why I'm here. I stopped playing D&D last year, like in September or something. So um I really like that you guys are what's the word, like fully committing to doing a full version of Legend of the Mist and D&D. So you're reaching both audiences. I guess I wanted to discuss that a little bit more, like how you're going full in on Legend of the Mist, right? So whatever is provided for D&D 5e, like full, like Legend of the Mist, same support. So it's kind of like two two projects, like two books.
Thank you for saying that. That's how we feel as well.
Yeah.
So, what you say is accurate, first of all. Everything
Okay.
presented in D&D terms will be presented in Legend of the Mist. And uh, that's happening solely due to Amit Moshi, the creator of Legend of the Mist, help for that, since he's going to be supervising he and his team are going to supervise the content. And yes, we ended up there because we felt it was a perfect fit for Zamanora, and it could add a lot of storytelling aspects for the game sessions of D&D enthusiasts as well. So I think that this system has a lot to offer in general as a gaming experience, even if someone chooses to go with Dungeons and Dragons. Precisely,
Yeah,
steal the
definitely.
style, like, pick up for your games.
Andres, did you want to say something because you started and I
Yeah,
think.
well, it's more or less what Nikos is saying is that Legend of the Mist just felt like a perfect match for Zamanora, just from the perspective of what it has to do with, the rustic fantasy aspect and everything about it. And I think it was George who first had the idea from within us. And truly, we were very lucky to like be in contact with him. And he's been such a huge help, and all of the Legend of the Mist team was such a huge help of for the whole thing. And yeah, basically that's it. It's just it felt like it matched so well, really. So it made it's. I personally, I just even love doing the conversions. Even the work aspect of it is fun.
Before
Yeah.
we give room to Spirit Wolf to speak, Maya, did I interrupt you? Were you about to ask something more?
Um, no, I was also wondering if, first of all, I think this is a great idea to like, this is like a good subtle way to introduce people to a different system because there are some people who are like strictly in D&D, and this is like a good way to like sneakily introduce them like, hey, this is also really cool. Um, but I was wondering like who's initially found Legend in the Mist? Who's that person who saw, or maybe you guys found City of Mist or something like that, but who's that first person on your team who found the different system and then proposed this idea?
Yeah. So one thing that I really want to add before we move to that question is that I really like watching Legend the Mist stat blocks next to D&D stat blocks because, for example, in our demo we have the Liho, and the Liho has D&D. The only way that you can defeat a monster in D&D with rules as written is to make its hit points go zero. But in Legend the Mist and the city, sorry, and the Mist engine, that's not the case. And for example, in the demo, the Lichos has acceptance 6. So this gives you a far deeper way to deal with Licho. And a D&D player can see that and be inspired on how to tackle maybe a scenario in the game. So that's um, I think that's very inspiring for a dungeon master that does D&D. They see another way to deal with the monster, then they can incorporate in the game. And also because the stat blocks in D&D are a bit more detail oriented, this may help a Legend the Mist player figure a weird scenario, what to do with a weird scenario. So I just wanted to add that, but in your for your question, Maya, um, I was first introduced to Amit through City of Mist. I actually have an Instagram page where I do Dungeons and Dragons memes, and I reached out to him because I wanted to promote projects that are not simply D&D. And I was very excited about the project because I really like how easy it was to make a character, how evocative and narrative everything was. So I was our first contact with Amit. We talked about promoting it. I have promoted City of Mist in my page, and after that, George mentioned it. Some time passed, like a year, maybe two, and Legend the Mist went out, and we were really fans of Legend the Mist. And then George mentioned that the project that we're now kind of sort of building, Zamanora, it was very early in the development then, does have many elements that are extremely similar to Legend of the Mist. It's basically the same genre of fantasy, the rustic genre. So, do you think that maybe we could reach out and talk about some sort of collaboration? And the rest is history, basically.
I think you're also missing. You're selling yourself a little bit short because we also had a conversation like when we were starting Zamana, you and me, and I told you, man, I wish there was some kind of system that's easy to play with some what's real things with some kind of tags. And he was like,
Yeah,
yeah, there is one, Legend of the Mist. I'm like, oh, all right. So I had no idea of it, but Nicolas had just spotted it directly.
yeah. Did we
Okay,
cover
I have
you,
one more.
Maya? Yes.
I have one more question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, of
Of
course.
course.
So you're working within you guys are going to build out two systems. I'm wondering, like, how difficult is that? Is it a lot more extra work? Is it something that's like easy to convert, so it's not that big of a deal? Like, how does that whole process go for you guys?
So far, because we have good counseling, the conversion process is not a difficult task to tackle. Of course, obstacles may present themselves as we go deeper, Legend in the Mist is also a system that is still, how to say,
Being
Being
finalized.
developed, basically.
yes,
Yeah.
being finalized. The most difficult part to tackle, but that's also history, thankfully, was how to come up with a good way to incorporate it in the layout to not increase the page count. This is not featured in the demo of the project, but tackling it in the final version of the project was really important to us because, you know, the book should not feel heavier because of this dual system incorporation. The system itself is actually a very interesting process of, and Andreas has mostly been the spearhead of this process so far. So he may have something to add on it.
For sure, if you're done, of course. Generally, it's the kind of fun, challenging thing. There is Legend in the Mist. I mean, is like Nicola said, is less numerically inclined than Dungeons and Dragons, obviously. So converting from one to the other, from D&D to Legend in the Mist, does take some quick thinking or slow thinking sometimes, just in order to make the numbers into concepts a lot of times. But it's the kind of creative challenge that's really fun to do, exactly like Nikos is saying. We've been doing, like, we've had a lot of back and forth with Nicolas as well, converting the demo. There's some, some things that are kind of difficult sometimes, like spell casting can be tricky, but we work with it. We take our time. The Son of Oak team is super helpful. Like we've joined the chat with them. They share so much insight. They like very pointed comments and like, guys, maybe you could do this like that. They're all very experienced as well, and they've played a lot of systems. So the way that sort of our brains, go is kind of similar. So yeah, for me personally, I think the most fun aspect of it is making up weakness tags because Legend of the Mist has weaknesses and D&D doesn't. So it's always so fun when you get to the end of a character sheet, for example, of a subclass, and you say, all right, so what's this guy bad at? So this is, I think it's my favorite part of it. Nicola, if you want to add something, of course.
I very much enjoy the special features because they give such a. The great thing about the Mist engine is that it's a bit vague, but it also pretty straightforward. So giving the special features, I think it's just such a great way to give a specific signature to a character or a monster or yeah. So I think like you covered me, guys, but that's pretty much it.
Uh, just
Okay,
throwing
thank you
this
guys.
out there. Thank you for your questions, Maya. Let's be a little sensitive of the time and the other questions so that we don't miss any.
And Spirit Wolf,
Spirit Wolf,
we're seeing you will. Yeah. Do you want
just
to first answer one of the questions really fast or add Spirit Wolf?
just really quickly, Zamanora has been in development for the better part of the year, but that means going full engines at it. Prior to that, there has been tasks that were being built, like art and etc., etc., etc. So because as a creative team, we also have foundations for future projects as well. We don't consider them having already started. I would say that Zamanora has been under production for the better part of a year. And to Hedy, I think Empress Cosplay. Your name is Hedy, right? Um, the reception was like the content was mostly received by Balkan and Slavic people with open arms. Like people were very
Yeah.
eager for such content. That said, when you throw something out there in the chaos of the internet, you get all sorts of people. We had people like having an issue with the project having a title that derives from the Romani language, which is plain to say that it was mostly that was a criticism based on racist reasons and nothing else. We made a special video explaining of why we chose this title, and we pretty much think that if this offends anyone, they are not the backers we're looking for this project.
Yeah, they're not the target
So,
audience.
but if you put that aside and some weird infighting between Slavic peoples, like these, how do you say, fights you have with family or something, like who came up with this legend first, or appropriating these legends, like, oh no, they're ours. If you exclude like minor events like that, the community really welcomed this content.
For some reason, there were more than enough instances of people mentioning League of Legends in our comments. I have no idea why, but there was about 2 or 3 times that the comments devolved into talking about League of Legends. Anyway, yeah, when
To
you when you get exposed to that many people, um, it's you get every sort of flavor of people in your comment. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, probably.
give the floor to Spirit Wolf. I will just conclude with Hedi's question that the main thing I believe we had to focus on was the aspects that unite all these people that share similarities in folklore and not only. Focusing on those aspects rather whatever it is that people might believe that divides us.
Yeah. Should we invite Spirit Wolf?
Yes, yes, of course, and sorry for the delay, Spirit Wolf.
Hello, thank you, and no worries.
Hello.
So yeah, it was more into the inspiration behind going so in depth with the characters and the lore, and providing more than just, as I said, like, writing on a page, giving life to everything. Was that intentional, or did that just happen through the research? And and what sources, or if you're able to give from where you got that base of information.
You mean particularly uh, in the context of Slavic and Balkan folklore, or we as writers, why do we choose to go that much in depth of
Yes, yeah,
the
more
narrative
for
aspect?
from your personal point of view. Was it intentional, or did it just happen? Because a lot of other supplements, they basically go for quantity over quality, and I think for you guys it's like kind of the opposite way around.
So generally, I mean, this is not an answer that represents the team. It's a personal viewpoint, but it may reflect on the rest. I don't know. I believe that what makes TTRPGs interesting is the fact that you can empathize and affiliate with situations and people that are not you and you might not end up in. Meaning that it has to put you in someone else's shoes and present moral dilemmas that you have not dealt with up to that point. To embark on such an experience and to truly become someone else for a brief amount of time, empathize with their problems, and embody that character, you need a narrative that feels plausible. It presents a lot of what ifs. What if you were someone who possessed supernatural powers? You would still have to deal with problems similar to yours, but from a different viewpoint. For me to present that perspective, you have to go in depth in the storytelling. The mechanics are like you could say like a Trojan horse to also deliver a similar message.
Yeah,
You can gain immersion through the mechanics if they're well delivered, but you need the environment as well surrounding this idea. You have to connect it with different threads to the world and to everyone else in this world for a story to be truly immersive. At least that's from my perspective. I hope that
yeah,
wasn't too confusing.
no, definitely, I'm totally on the same page as that, and I love to say thank you, for the effort and the energy that you guys are portraying through this project, and it's Yeah, from my point of view, and for this is it's going to be so inclusive to especially the demographic I work with. You know, people are neurodivergent or with learning needs, and giving that basis of why more than just here's the monster, here's the place, and you know it's brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
it's
for
very
saying.
Thank you so much for
yeah.
saying that, Louis.
It's very important for us that you don't just go around and whack monsters on the head. It really needs to be deeper because the folklore that we are deriving all this inspiration from is not about that. It's again, I refer to the kind of blog posty update we did on monsters and how we will treat witches for Zamanora.
Also, if you want to whack monsters in the head, and I'm not saying this as a joke, a video game actually fulfills that role better than a TTRPG. And there are awesome video games out there with incredible gameplay that you can whack monsters in very interesting ways. But a tabletop RPG, we feel, should not, like, this is not the ultimate purpose of a tabletop RPG.
Yeah, and also sometimes it's okay to have a more clean sides, white versus black. Sometimes or good versus evil. It's good to have. It's sometimes a bit refreshing because I remember spending a whole campaign having like villains that were they appeared as villains, but every villain's a hero to their story and stuff like that. And at some point, my players told me that they felt a bit, every session was a bit heavy because they were a bit confused who they should follow and stuff like that. So sometimes you maybe have to whack monsters on the head.
Well, no, thank you for that.
Thanks very much
Yeah.
for asking.
Thank you for your
No
question.
worries.
Yeah. Hedy, about
T-
the issues that you have found in reaching on people bringing some hate on inter-Europeans. What I can say from the project that we're building is that yes, there are people with hatred, but we have found out that the people that truly enjoy and really want to involve themselves with this is they are simply more. Um, the people that hate, unfortunately, are many a time a vocal minority. These people spend a lot of their time online and they spend a lot of their time typing comments. Whereas someone who is just excited for the project will maybe just press a follow, maybe support, maybe share it with their friends, and maybe never comment. So I really hope that you are not disheartened and definitely reach out to us if you want to workshop something. And you have been very vocal in our community. You have been the opposite of. You are a vocal minority as well, but the good part of it. The good
I
part.
would like to add definitely, and that applies to a lot of things when discussing stuff over the internet. Like usually the problematic voices are louder, and that doesn't mean that reality is like that. We have found out that people are full of solidarity, full of good intentions, full of support towards each other. And sometimes it's a shame when people like that get disheartened. I am 100% with
Yeah.
Nicholas on
Just remember that there are more people, at least in the case of the specific genre that we're talking about. There are more people that like it than there are people that hate it.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, about that,
Ah,
Marcus. Yeah, for the people that were here for Exordium, or Exordium Origins of Mythos, our previous project, which I think is only Toyota. It's it's really extremely important for us to be very communicative with the communicative with the community. I'm a writer anyway, and to be in contact with them, and we really want to be as transparent as possible. And because we have seen other Kickstarters that simply vanish, they don't deliver. You've all heard these horror stories. We try to dispel this feeling as much as possible. We are very actively trying to be open and accessible. So thank you for pointing it
And
out, Marcus.
Just
to
to kind of
connect it
add,
to Maia's, sorry, go on, go on.
you go, you go, you go, you go. I'll go after.
To connect it to Maia's question, okay, in full transparency, we never took uh, the fact that money would accumulate for granted. We are not
Yeah,
in this line of business to. We're in this line of business to express ourselves and hopefully make a living out of it.
yeah,
So, if a person wishes to uh, get their hands on some cash, and build their financial status, I suppose they shouldn't become content creators for TTRPGs. It's not the main
yeah,
reason someone should do that.
yeah,
So the fact that we're here doing this right now is a more tangible reason of why we are into this business. And the fact that it has been so widely endorsed never occurred to us before this happened. So it's just like an amazing surprise to us.
Yeah, it's
Although
exactly like what
okay, go ahead, Andrea. Sorry, go ahead.
it's
That
exactly
video was
like you
very
guys are saying. And yeah, that video is pretty much it. For me personally, just to tie in with what both of the guys are saying, I mean, I handle a lot of the boring stuff or a lot of the numbers, and this sort of interaction, this sort of situation is what sort of keeps me going as well sometimes, because it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you'll wake up one day and you'll be working on spreadsheets all day, but then someone will say that what you're writing is of good quality and says, thank you for writing that. And that's fucking heartwarming. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just, it's what we're in it for. And we love doing, we love interacting with you guys and everyone else that comments and whatever supports. So it's just, it makes us feel good as well.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
50. Go on.
Although just sorry, do you want to go or
No, no, please.
okay? Um, in the terms of exactly if we're, I want to also add something about being surprised by the Kickstarter backer numbers. These are not money that we have ever seen. Okay, the number is very big for us. So we are not used to that. We are um, I have to work another job in order to support myself, as well as writing for Aaron Chronicles and doing marketing stuff and whatever. So it's very these are potentially life changing amounts. But also, I wanted to just add a little bit of a caveat. We did have 5,000 followers on the pre-launch. So some of the results that we're seeing um, in more of a cruel cold numbers game are kind of expected. It certainly did surpass our expectations, and we really felt overwhelmed about it when we gathered to press the big red button and launch the project. I thought that I was going to have a heart attack. It was very very a lot of excitement, but also stressful. Um, and but it does trend. There are some trends that you can track what's going to happen basically. So we did the project did exceed our expectations, but it wasn't as if we were hoping of getting funded with 10,000 euros. That's all. Maybe this kind of takes away a bit from the magic. It doesn't for us, but this is extremely overwhelming and very wholesome what's happening. But just want to talk to the numbers people a bit about that. Sorry if
To add
this changes the mood, but
to
go
add to
ahead.
that,
Mhm.
while this is not money that goes into our pockets and sustenance,
Yeah,
like we will eventually be paid like monthly salaries retroactively for the months we've been working on this project. It is an amount of money that will allow us to create the project we're dreaming of. So this is the most overwhelming thing. People banding up to tell you that what you are doing, we would like to see it happening. Like this is the astonishing part, I believe.
Yeah. And also the support, that the actual positive comments that go into it. For example, on the first day, I never expected all these comments on our Kickstarter page. Like this was mind blowing. We had like, I think we had like 100 comments, adding
Yeah.
our replies, but I think we had like 100 comments in the first day, which was insane. And also, what Nico said is perfectly right. These are life changing sums, but a lot of most of it does go into making the book and us maybe making a livable wage, probably making a livable wage. Yeah.
And into making it good too. I mean, from the production standpoint, this kind of
Yeah.
success means that we get to make it as good as we want to make it, because we want to make it very good.
Yeah. We do believe in building up, in building a community, and you don't build a community with a single project. You build a community by delivering stuff that people like. So we are not trying to cut corners on the quality of, for example, uh, a kind of a thorn in our spine was that the for our previous project, the Exordium Origins of Mythos die set was very expensive to make for us, and we couldn't sell it at the point where it made. I know that I think maybe Andreas knows the actual number, but I think it should cost 50 or something like that, so that they actually are worth it to make. But we really didn't want to cut corners, and we did the best we could and tried to come up with a price that makes sense for our followers and the people that would really want them. So this does hurt
To
our. Sorry, just to finish it, this maybe hurts our actual wages. This hurts our actual wages, but it does help us build something that we will hopefully last. Yeah.
to deviate a little bit from the number crunching part,
Yeah.
and go to what Perfect mentioned. Perfect says that is also a game about connections and relationships in some way. We believe, as we have also discussed with Spirit Wolf on the Discord server, the immersive parts of TTRPGs can be used in a lot of ways to connect, even if you do not directly speak with the recipient, as we are right now. So when you create a scenario and the other person immerses themselves in this scenario and incarnates it as a character, there is a form of connection being built. So I believe that every TTRPG is a form of connection in its result and a form of communication. What we have right now is an advanced form of communication in my mind, but we do communicate through the content as well, because the characters have been created based on our fears, wonders, moral dilemmas, questions about life. And then when you incarnate them and play this story, you give your answers to our questions. And it goes on and on. So that's what I love about TTRPGs in general.
Yeah. As much as many games of D&D are collaborative storytelling, we really feel that this is also us making Zamanora is also some kind of a collaborative storytelling, even with you guys. We really try to read everything you say. We really try to find suggestions that really are beautiful to follow, and we have made some. We have added some of these things because we have seen comments on them. So by all means, whenever you feel that you have something to suggest, we are 100% open to any kind of feedback. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Grammar
here
brought
I
just
could take
Toyota
judging.
to the stage.
I could take a moment to speak about that because Aaron Toyota has been supporting us since day one, and that was imagine being a broke, financially broke group of writers writing about TTRPGs in an already overpopulated market, and then a guy appears who is like invested in your work to the level of editing it, being on top of it, contacting you, proposing ideas. And we are here today because you ended up being part of the team. Like, essentially, we built this project together. And this is incredible, like, for me as well, to have built this relationship through the projects.
Yep.
We're more than happy to have you.
Yeah.
I'll make as many as I can for you.
Yeah.
The,
By the way, about
the
the
power.
puppet woman, Nico, what was the name? Oh no, that was for Marin Maiden. Sorry, about the inspiration behind Marin Maiden. I was reading at Hedy's comment, but I mixed them both.
Yes, I mean, there is a few puppet women in Zamanora.
I think she
Think I'm looking.
means the demon, what we call the demon girl,
I will add it in the chat
the
now to make
Cursebound.
sure.
Is it Curseweaver or Cursebound?
How dare you? It's Kersweaver.
Yeah, sorry. It changes name all the time, so names change all the time. So yeah, is it this
Is it
one?
this one?
That's a very interesting question, Maya. We actually we maybe we can actually get your opinion. We were thinking on it. There were some talks about running a one shot with people from the
Based on
server.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, based on the demo, most likely. Is this something that you people would be interested in?
Just need two more.
Yeah. We will need to figure out. It would be cool to. Uh, Maybe I shouldn't suggest it, but whatever. I would really want to see if we could do maybe one for D&D and one for Legend and Mist, but we'll see. Depending on the people that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll
I'm
see.
thinking that what's for sure is that with our hands this tied at this stage of
Yeah.
the campaign, it would be hard to come up with something genuine and at the same time good for a story. So we would most likely have to play the demo. Uh, it could be interesting to play the demo twice in two different systems to also see the different choice making and feature the sandboxy elements of the adventure locale concept. Because for me, and that's a completely personal perspective, it's not a compromise opposed to a fully fledged adventure. It's actually, as a storyteller, is how I would prefer the setting
Yeah.
being given to me. Like a picture, a bird's eye view picture of a locale with its characters and its problems that are actively going forward without the player's involvement. And then the players go in and tackle it in any way they see fit and, move the bricks a bit.
Yeah, I really agree
Mm,
with this. I really prefer a more sandbox approach that allows me to, move things around than a very specific adventure line. This is actually the reason that I don't. I have played very few official adventures, Mostly because it also feels kind of spoilery for me, and I like to see the story evolve. And running a specific adventure does limit it kind of for me. But yeah, this sandbox approach is really how I would also prefer to have my content to read through and prepare a session.
And also the storyteller also deserves to be surprised. And
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah, very much so. But
setting stone narratives that are linear kind of prevents spontaneous and innovative things from happening,
yeah,
because they're these plot armored characters that if something happens to them, the story can go forward.
yeah,
A good story, of course, shouldn't have these bugs, but most fully fledged adventures suffer from them, I think.
yeah. I
yeah,
really
sort of.
want to try and. Sorry, go ahead, Andres.
Yeah, I was just saying that as a fully developed adventure, like with many of the official adventures, I personally find they are neither for the DM nor for the players at the end of it. They are stories for their own sake, exactly like you guys are saying. So, even my personal preference as well is to make the story very much about the player characters, because it makes sense that these characters are doing these things if they are about them. And it's exactly the same with the DM and with the characters, the NPCs, they react to it. And a pre-made adventure doesn't let you do that as much.
Yeah. Yeah, and also my issue with such ready adventures is that maybe you lean a bit too much into them, and if you move something, maybe something does not work in the future, or yeah, it when you lean onto something and it's not the foundation is not that strong, then kind of falls apart. But this is mostly a scare that I have, or a fear I have, not something that I have encountered too many times.
That's a recurring pattern, I think, in the community, Marcus. It has to do, I think, with the level of maturity in the player base. Um, the freedom to choose is part of playing the game. And of course, there are invisible barriers in every story, because you can't, like, even in an open game or open world video game, there are barriers. And the same exists in a TTRPG story. But the feeling of freedom should be prevalent. And if a player doesn't want that, it feels like they're a passenger. Of course, they could like being the passenger in a story, but you're also entitled to not liking this as a storyteller. Like to be, that's why every table plays in a different way. I am on your side in general as a personal taste. I want the players to seize the spotlight and change the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Proactive is a very good way to
Yeah.
express this.
I think when the players are, or at least a single player is kind of DM oriented, like I call them the DM player. When there is a DM player in the game, it really helps move things along, because some people will really focus on the story they want to tell for the characters, but you really need someone to pick up on some of the threads that the DM is throwing. Yeah, this is a sandbox. Yeah, this I don't want to railroad you guys, but I also want someone to pick up some of the threads that I'm throwing, and it really helps to have someone that is more experienced to move things around.
Would you guys like to discuss a little bit of stretch goals, like things that you would be excited to see? Um, we have some ideas on the table that were kind of molded over through the server. Some ideas we already have, but we're kind of testing the ideas that we have through through the reception that you give us. So one of the ambitious things that we have in mind is the Molfar class. So a class with three subclasses. Again, speaking in D&D lingo, but translated for both systems. Another thing that we have in mind, which could possibly go hand in hand with the first, I don't have it clearly in my mind, is a community build to kind of create something together in the form of polls, because coordinating with more than 1,000 of people to create something could be kind of
Yeah.
hectic. But to get into that, do you have any other things that you would like to see ZAMANORA include as a project through the stretch goals? Molfar is the term of the closest thing to a shaman from Ukrainian in particular folklore. So is the wise one of a tribe or settlement, let's say, which offers a lot of room for subclasses because each settlement's wise one could be vastly different from each other. So the spiritual leader could be the leader of huntsmen, because this is a village that mostly survives on hunting, um, hunting, period. The other one could be like an apothecary who is very well indulged in the ways of herbs and stuff. And at every case, they're very close to the connection with spiritual entities. So it has a lot of meat as how to say, as a concept to build a class over.
And yeah, about the guilds and other organizations that you mentioned, Spirit Wolf, we actually plan to have a whole chapter in the Monsters and Fables book that basically binds the denizens of Zamanora together. Oh, Molfar, sorry about the typo. And for example, there will be a number of different factions. The Maran Maiden is a very prevalent figure, a very prevalent deity in the world of Zamanora. You will get to see the heart of the Maran Maiden, which means to bring blight to the world. And we do plan to include a whole chapter on this. So there's definitely going to be organizations and guilds, whatever the best word should be.
Yes, it could be like religious cults, like it could be like a region-wide system of belief that binds people together into the concept of an organization, or it could be an organization in the strict way with like set hierarchy that has a particular goal. The book, Monsters and Fables, will include both such examples.
Yeah. Marcus, about the subclass of an existing class, this is the number one thing that we have in mind whenever in the past, we have tried to make some classes, and I mean officially in our books. The number one thing that we always discuss first when talking about a class is if this is actually a subclass for another class. We really think this time that the Molfar, we believe this time that the Molfar does have enough depth and enough breadth, actually, to facilitate its own class and subclass.
And also,
Yeah.
exactly. And also the Morpher in particular, I feel picks up on a lot of things that are in the folklore and difficult to add to other ones. So, for example, some concepts like the Duhach guys, which are like very difficult to put into other classes, could go in the Morpher. But yeah, the concept of a wise one is so wide that it really has the space for three or even more different subclasses, but I think we'll stick with three.
Yeah.
Legend in the Mist, Well, we just scratch the surface of what we can find in common between the two settings, which is also the basis of how we approached Amit with his proposal for collaboration. A lot of the aspects that are embedded into the world building aspects and aesthetic of Legend in the Mist resonate with what we do in Zamanora, or what we're trying to do with Zamanora. Uh,
Yeah,
Nicolas, would you like to present how the community build would work,
yeah,
since you are?
sure. Yeah. So the idea, and it really excites me because I would really like to see it in more Kickstarters, is that we we were thinking of a stretch goal that will allow us to build a subclass or a monster. We've not nailed that down yet, or maybe something else. We'll see with the community. So, because as Nikos mentioned before, right now it's there are almost 2,000 people supporting the project. So we really cannot hop in a call with 2,000 people and get everyone's opinion and then make something out of it. So, what we want to, how we want to approach community building is that we will first of all select a subject matter and then make polls on the direction of that said subject matter. For example, is this monster that we're going to build, which we have not nailed down what it will be, but for example, a monster, is this monster going to be a high challenge rating or a very deadly monster in more Legend of Mist terms? Is it going to be spellcasting oriented? Is it going to be humanoid? We'll see how deep we will go with these questions, but basically we would like to shape the core of the subject matter that we will choose with the community. So something that is not only ours, but actually ours. So everyone's, not just something that the core team decided. And of course, it will have to fit with the rest of the theme for Zamanora. So it's not like we're gonna be making. It's not gonna be a multiverse thing like Magic the Gathering does these days, where you get characters from Street Fighter joining in. So that these are basically the rules that we have in mind for the community build.
To hop onto what Perfect is saying about the short stories and everything.
Hmm.
I mean, I will admit we have some short stories that kind of, just happen when you're writing. And we try to incorporate, of course, a lot of stories into the lore and into the what we already write in the book. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if we can fit them in the book, like layout wise. I don't want to overstep here, because I can get in trouble for that. But yeah, we do have a lot of things that get written. I mean, I am personally guilty of overwriting a lot of things. And yeah, I would also personally just love to incorporate them in the book in whatever way, shape, or form we can, especially into Monsters and Fables, which is the more setting-oriented book.
Yeah. I mean, even if it kind of doesn't, which I'm also a really big fan of that. The stories that the adventure locales will revolve around are basically that. We want each story to know you're not just looking for the blacksmith's child that was lost in the woods. We really want to make something that would actually be a fable. Um, yeah, but you get to play through it. Yeah, what
And it's
Nikos
also
mentioned yeah, in the chat is pretty important to. Yeah,
and
so
also like
we
shout out to these people because they're doing an awesome work as well.
yeah, actually Beyond the Woods is out right now. It is fully funded. It is based on Irish folklore, and we have spoken with Emmett, which is a very brilliant guy, and we really want to get into more things with him. We have also spoken with the creator of Sviland. Sviland is not yet out. I think it goes out in a few days. And Umut, the creator of Sviland, or at least the person from the core team that we have mostly spoken with, is also, yeah, Sviland is kind of out, but I think, yeah, this is kind of an expansion or mm, yeah. So these people are making very high quality work, and we really appreciate their work, and we really like what they're doing. We are also kind of in the same space of European folklore, so we really would like to offer some sort of time between each other. We have been discussing that, but nothing is really set in stone right now. We'll see where this goes. I hope we do get to work with them.
Something that comes up quite often, and I feel I should really be mentioning it. There's plenty of ideas around the table, but we are usually tied by the fact that we're a 4 people team and of severely low budget, which means that the success of this Kickstarter will open new horizons for the team. But for the time being, we are 4 really ambitious, really inspired, really overworked people trying to do everything we come up with. So we would really like to see this thing, this connection between Sviland and Beyond the Woods. Let's hope it happens.
About what Marcus says that about Beyond the Woods, actually, a little bit of a behind the scenes thing. Uh, the, the creator of Beyond the Woods did reach out to Amit to make it potentially make it a legend and myth thing, but at that time Amit was working with us and we already had a deal and an exclusivity as well, so we couldn't. They couldn't move forward with that. But maybe something happens in the future.
To address 2 questions, Maya, what you're talking about is already part of the chapter 1 of the core book. Not an intro adventure per se, that would require a bit more thought on how to implement, but there is a series of suggestions of how to begin a story in Zamanora. Like starting from scratch, like maybe the characters are all kids who grew up in the same settlement because people don't travel so often in Zamanora because the wilderness is perilous. But what if they are travelers, or what if some of them are travelers and some aren't? We're going to offer all these things along with character archetypes that are frequent in Zamanora.
Yeah,
Just one second.
actually,
Okay,
Legend the Myth.
now yeah.
Sorry.
Go.
Okay. Legend the Myth did an amazing job with their chapter one, with that it is pretty much comic-like and introduces you to the mechanics. This is basically a tutorial for a game, but for a book. So I know maybe some people in here have not seen it because not everyone is following the Legend and Mist creation. But what Legend and Mist did is that their early chapters are basically a comic of um, of someone in the woods, and there is a story behind it that slowly introduces what every mechanic in the game does. So they slowly introduce statuses, tags, weaknesses, etc. And it was a very brilliant way of doing something like a video game tutorial, but for a book.
That was brilliant indeed.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I think Maya is a big fan of adventures and one shots. Yeah, but that's
But
great.
to add to what Nicholas just said, this is a brilliant idea to showcase a new system
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the audience. What
Okay.
Zamanora does is effectively utilizing 2 pre-existing systems. So a story, but not like in the comic delivery. It wouldn't need so much illustration. Therefore, it could happen.
We actually were thinking of maybe having a more fleshed out adventure as a stretch goal. There were discussions about that. So we will see what we can do with, intersounding it um, and what we can actually do budget wise and stuff like that.
And time wise, honestly. I mean, that's
And
also
time wise,
very
yeah, definitely. Because it is very important for us to. We have given some estimations on our Kickstarter page. I'm not sure if you have all seen it, but basically, we promised to deliver the PDF by August 2025, and we've promised to deliver the physical items um, August 2026. Uh, Minor asterisk on that, we plan to deliver the VTT content around October, I think. But yeah, so it is very important for us to not promise that we will deliver something in 2025 and then deliver it in 2028, as some very big Kickstarters have done. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and also I'm sure that many people in here are aware about how tumultuous the current situation is with tariffs, with war going on around us. So we believe that we are very confident of on the numbers that we have said, but everything is there is a luck based factor in there. Yeah. Hopefully on Exordium we actually delivered. Yeah, we delivered pretty on time. The American audience actually got the physical items a month earlier. On Europe we had some issues, but I think that we were within a month of the promised delivery date. So yeah, we I think that's okay. uh, yeah. So it
we
really depends on how much time we will have to finish everything up. Yeah, and just go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that we're earlier this time over, so we're learning from Exordium about some things being delayed, and I really think that we are within the time limits that we've set. But it's like Toyota says, it's not a Kickstarter if nothing gets delayed.
Yeah. Estimations are yeah, estimations are as much of an art as they are science. So yeah,
Regarding what Marcus is saying and what Nicholas just said, it's true that the bigger a project is and the least the creators anticipate um, the, the exposure it will get, the harder it becomes to deliver on time because the numbers increase vastly. So it's a huge process to deliver a project like Legend in the Mist. Like a huge
yeah.
process. I cannot even fathom what's the vast difference between the backing that ZAMANORA has now and the backing that Legend in the Mist had. But it's also a difference in infrastructure. Like Son of Oak is much more equipped to respond to these numbers. But the funding does that. Funding allows you to equip yourself with the right means to address the audience you've got.
Spirit Wolf, about what you're asking about the orders being locked on Backer Kit, we do not currently have a set date, but on Exordium we gave a lot of um, a lot of warning beforehand. We were counting down. We were reaching out to people. So even if some orders are locked, even then you can pretty much reach out to us and handle everything individually. We had a lot of people moving because a Kickstarter is as much of not an obligation, but what do you say? It's an investment for us as much as it is for the people that support it. For example, we are giving a timeline of a year. A lot of things can happen in a year for a person. A lot of people get to move, and so we are in constant communication with the backers for such things. We will let you know exactly when everything is locking down. We will give plenty of warning. We will, if you follow us somewhere, we will find a way to reach you. And even if
some
you do,
way.
we will just send you mails. Sorry, together. What did you say? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sirens will
If
be
you care
blaring,
about it,
bugles will be
you'll find a
flying.
way. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
So the pantheon of Zamanora is based on the Slavic mythology's pantheon. So generally, there is a lot of contradiction and a lot of disagreement based on what's right and wrong regarding Slavic folklore and mythology. To avoid this question of right and wrong, especially in matters of religion, because it is some people's faith to this day. Some people follow the pagan ways all over the world, etc., etc. We chose to draw direct correlations to the Slavic deities and recreate them as our own. That gave us both the creative freedom to stray a bit and broaden make the concepts more fit for Zamanora, and at the same time not have the stress that we are stepping over something important for someone, like more important than their initial perspective of a particular story, which of course you can always get wrong or differently. It's hard to please
Yeah.
everyone. With the deities in particular, for example, the god Perun is called Arun in Zamanara. That's the most, I think, fitting example to show how close things are.
Yeah. And it is important to note that uh, while we do our best to respect the original cultures that we get inspired from, and when we do want to have accurate things in them, this is not a trademark. This is not an encyclopedia. So we're not making an encyclopedia for Slavic and Balkan folklore. We are getting inspired by it. Um, Updating some things that are very outdated in also how they are presented, and just doing our best to also write stories that inspire us.
Yeah, because like these stories were written who knows how long ago. In the particular case of Slavic mythology, who knows how long
Yeah.
ago, because we're not sure when they were written. So that means that there is often rampant sexism, um, outdated notions in the sense of our societies have evolved since that. So our way of paying respect to this folklore is not directly putting it into 2025, is being inspired by it, as Nicholas said, delivering the same points and the same aesthetic, the same feel, the same grimness, but also we don't need to be to keep the sexism to do that. We can remove things that are not integral to the story, but at the same time, we believe have no place in today's societies either. So
And also there are a lot of creatures that are just undead, make weird noises, and drown women. So
yes,
um,
only women. Yes.
only women or children. Yeah. And so we also have the need to make each of our monsters distinct. And we cannot really do that if we just follow the established folklore. So we need to add a specific type of inspiration behind them, and actually make. And also we want to make it relevant to today's society as well, because a lot of the troubles of the people back then are prevalent now as well, but not everything. So
Yeah, like imagine that Lady Midday and Lady Midnight, which is Nochnitsa and Polutnitsa, I think.
Follow the nature.
Polutnitsa. They're like the woman who died before her marriage and the woman who died before becoming a mother. And this gives us a very good spotlight at what was expected by women of that period, like to be mothers and to be wives. we could confer the same feeling of prematurity, like premature finality, that they died too soon, without having to bind ourselves in this narrative. That's pretty much what
Yeah.
we're saying.
But you can also trace back most of the monsters we have written back to a Slavic monster or a Balkan monster.
Some of them even to two Slavic monsters, you Balkan monsters.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Some you
If you
can
do
like
your homework.
triangulate.
Yeah, yeah.
Regarding what Nicolas mentioned earlier, there is like so many child kidnappers, but there is like child kidnappers who do not offer anything other than being child kidnappers to a story. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the Bolotnik is a child kidnapper that lives in the swamps. The Vodnik is a child kidnapper that lives in rivers. And there is like a series of child kidnappers who do not have much more to offer. So that's where we're building further on.
The first Slavic ring
It's,
of
it's
kidnappers.
like it's a very sad place to be a child, generally,
Yeah,
these
and
regions.
also this, yeah, like the Kelpies, exactly. And these also this monster that will kidnap you is a very Balkan notion as well. Like I have heard these things when growing up, like go to
Yes,
bed
all
or
of us.
this monster will kidnap you.
Eat all your food,
Eat
or
your
I'll give you to the whatever. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a.
yeah. If you
And it's
don't
like
finish your food, well, I didn't have that problem, but if you don't do the chores, um, something will get you. So these were prevalent even in the 90s when I was growing up, in Greece at least.
and even the notion
and
of a
to add to
demon.
that, it's
Like even the notion of a demon and a devil, as they're put
Yeah, yeah.
into Dungeons and Dragons, they are post-Christianism, Christendom. So what was referred to as a demon or a yokai or whatever in its different culture has been kind of remodeled, which is a shame.
plus
Yeah.
adding to that, there's a lot of monsters in older myths, which are good or neutral, and then have been demonized by the Christianization of these lands. So you find two very conflicting versions of the same monster, and you're like, is this child kidnapper a good one or a bad one? You know, you get that all the time in Slavic mythology, but all the time.
Someone in the cellar, someone in the cellar. That exists in Zamanora.
Yeah. Also, Tom just joined. Tom is from Homie and the Dude. They are, yeah. We have, thank you, Tom. We have cross promoted with Homie and the Dude a lot. They have helped us. They have shouted us out in their channels. And also, Tom is preparing. Yeah, hello. Also, Tom is preparing their own adventure. Sorry, their own project. I'm not sure when it drops, but we will be shouting them out when it does.
Mm. So generally, the thing that happened with Christendom is that it kind of incorporated the pagan ways and folklore in order to make itself more appealable to the audience of that time, to the people that needed to have some more like homogeneous factors to create a national identity, for example. But if you look at it, it's so interesting because you can see the same stories, just delivered in a different cloak, let's say.
Yeah.
So he doesn't steal my schnitzel. Okay.
I know that you do not store. Yeah.
Sorry?
Cellar crawl.
Or sell a
Yeah,
door, as Tolkien say.
yeah, cellar door. Actually, what was that? Did we just throw it out there when we were trying to figure out the name for Exordium? Cellar door. Was it the first time that we
Yes.
mentioned it between us? Yeah, we were
For those
trying. So
who,
yeah, we spent so
yeah.
much time with the titles, and at some point we were very frustrated because we couldn't nail down the title for our first project, Exordium: Words of Mythos. And at some point, I just said, "Okay, let's name it Exordium Cellar Door or something like that because it's Tolkien's favorite favorite words,
Yeah,
most
what
beautiful
Tolkien was
sounding
asking,
words."
what do you think is the most beautifully sounding word in, or combination of words in English? He said Celador. And everyone was like, what?
It does sound like an
What?
elfish name, like Celador. Yeah, Celador. Celador.
Well, tell that to German grandmothers. They're
Yeah.
using them as a discipline their children. So, by the way, whoever wants,
Sorry,
feel free to also raise their hand and use their microphone as well.
Gustavo is typing something out. A caiman. Google's caiman.
Is
A
a
kind of
caiman a
Oh,
crocodile,
bird?
a small
yeah. Okay.
crocodile.
I just thought about offshore businesses with
You
Cayman
what?
Island.
You
Cayman
what?
Island, yeah.
Ah,
The Cayman Island, yeah.
real estate.
Yeah. What's the name of that boogeyman?
I bet it was related to the underworld.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. The Amazons.
Okay.
Yeah, go. Please go, Aaron.
Yeah.
What picture?
Yeah. This was the
Why did
first
they have
result
to
I got
say?
when I googled Kuka.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
that's pretty
Why?
much a boogie woman.
Can we please stop a bit and check the eyebrows? Like they didn't have to go
on on flick. Yeah.
into that detail.
Caimans don't have eyebrows. Why did I mean they don't have hair either? No.
This one does, apparently.
Yeah. Maybe this is the community build, the Kuka. No, it will not be.
So, you mean the last one? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'll also. Yeah, the Kuka is also traumatizing. Let me kill her.
so generally, we're good with time. We're happy to be here for as long as you guys are happy to be here. For us, this is a very special opportunity, and we're just happy to be here, pretty much. So we do not have a very particular time frame in mind that or a way to navigate this conversation. So it's free form. Um, everything and anything goes. Just don't expect a particular form of closure coming from us because there won't be one.
Yep.
Hello there.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
very much so. I was just wondering, how did the inspiration of connection between you guys and Amit happen?
Between the connection between what? Sorry.
Well, obviously, The Legend and the Mist and what you guys were producing previously.
I mean, mhm.
Amit. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure if you were on before. I have an Instagram page with Dungeons and Dragon memes, and when City of Mist dropped, I reached out to Amit because I really liked the system. I really got inspired by it, and I reached out to him because I wanted to promote it. It was right around when I started get disillusioned with fifth edition. I still like the system. I still think it's strong, but I really believe that people should play more games as well. So I reached out to him to promote it, and he was very open to it. He gave me extreme freedom in what to do. He told me that your audience knows what's best. Just do what you do best. And this was the first connection
Interaction.
that we had. Interaction, yeah, the first interaction that we had. And after that, when Legend in the Mist dropped, we kind of talked again, and we were very inspired by it. We really liked it. I really like the Mist system, the Mist engine, and seeing it in a more familiar setting to me was even better, and to the rest of our team. And George, actually, the person that is not currently in this call, um, s- uh, suggested that we reach out to Amit and potentially do a dual system for it. And Amit was very excited with the project. And since then, we are pretty much collaborating or breaking this book both for D&D and for Legend of the Mist. This was
Yeah,
at the very early stages of Zamanora, so it really worked well because then we got to structure the book around this idea instead of just making a D&D book.
yeah. I was very, very pleased when I saw the connection. I've been running games now for nearly 40 years, and for the last 3 years, as a professional GM and a content creator, I've been doing everything that's to do with Son of Oak and running Otherscape and Legend in the Mist and City of Mist as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, City of Mist was the perfect engine to express one of the settings I wanted to work on, and the mechanics were phenomenal for the kind of storytelling I wanted to do.
Yeah. For me, it really opened up what you can do with abilities and giving abilities to other characters because it's so open-ended. And I was always wondering, like, okay, if I want to be a plant-based hero, would I have to write out every possible ability that I had in mind? But no, you just work with tags, you just work with statuses, and you just make it happen. Anyway, it is so intuitive, and when you get to play it.
Yeah, you can't believe how excited I was when I saw you guys branching out and sharing the space with Amit.
Yeah.
We're also very excited, and I can see how this project has drawn so much love and support. I mean, it totally deserves it. And what we mentioned before, the community rallying around Legend in the Mist is also incredible.
Yeah. We actually didn't believe that Legend in the Mist would be such a big part of the Kickstarter. But because the project is not even officially completely out yet. And it's even what blows my mind it is that it got voted as the most anticipated RPG of 2025, beating Sanderson and Critical Role. So I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
how.
that did shock me as well.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that. Yeah, maybe Marcus is right. Maybe Philippine people are more visible, or maybe they are more engaged or something like that. Yeah.
To quickly jump to Spiritable's question, of course, if that's okay with you, Damocles,
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That's all I
you
wanted
can
to ask.
definitely keep your mic open and be part of this, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Uh, there is a thing that, for me personally, and we could take turns in that I definitely wanted included ever since we conceived this idea, is the concept around the representation of dragons in Zamanora. We were building on an aspect of there is the hidden world and the old world. The hidden world is the world that coexists with the world that we know, but it's unseen. It's the world of spirits, which is fed on belief rather than knowledge. The more you know about spirits, the more they wane and fade from existence. But the more you believe that they exist without knowing for a fact, the more um, fed and empowered they become. The old world, on the other hand, is the things that you don't know about, but you also don't believe they exist. It's the mythology of the mythology. So, for example, a common Zamanori believes that domovoies exist. He just hasn't seen one. But they don't believe that a dragon exists. They believe that dragons are mythological creatures. So, Andreas came up with a great idea, which I really loved, about the more you discover about dragons, such as their name, their lair location, uh, certain things about them, the more equipped you are in the ways of mechanics to actually confront them. So, a dragon wishes to remain completely, to keep you oblivious of its existence. They are immortal. They possess ancient knowledge. They're pretty much the custodians of ancient knowledge because they're eternal. They want to keep it that way. They want to stick to their corner, have the mortals keep on with their societies and be done with it. But when someone digs into their lore, this disenchants them in a way because the dragon becomes real. So I really fell in love with this idea. I feel it has a lot of depth to go into. And it was, I think, the part that I went like, okay, guys, we're definitely doing that.
Thank you for saying that. I thought this, but actually it was based on something you and George, I think, had said about the role of dragons in earlier folklore initially. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say that it was all me.
Faces blend at this point. We have practically become the same person. So
Yeah.
always.
There is this moment. It's not there yet for Zamanora, but there is this tiny moment right before we deliver the project that we kind of hate it because we've been seeing it from up close for so long. But this happened in Exordium right before, for me at least, right before we delivered it. I was like, I don't want to see any more mythic paths. This hasn't happened for Zamanora yet, but yeah, of course I still love Exordium, but as friends.
And how about you guys? Do you guys have something that when you first heard it coming from either of us, were like, okay, this goes definitely to the books?
For me, this was mostly about witches because I hadn't given that much thought on how we're gonna approach witches because we didn't really write stats for any of them at the moment that we were discussing how we're gonna do them, and we didn't write any lore on them before discussing how we're gonna do them. And I think that your approach was pretty much. It wasn't that it wasn't even that it convinced me. It was more like, yeah, this is how they should be. This is not that much of a choice. Yeah, I think that was it for me.
Aaron has a hand. Aaron has a hand in the creation of the veil mark as well. He's had his hands into tweaking the mechanics, and we're going through it together.
Yeah, it is
I think
also kind
ceremonies
of.
are my favorite as well. Sorry. Do you want to?
Go ahead, go ahead. I was going to talk about ceremonies, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think ceremonies are one of the things that for me as well just felt right at home in ZAMANORA. Because for me, it's not exactly one particular thing, but the notion of this belief and emotion based magic that we've got going on just generally with the spirits, with the ceremonies, with the dragons as well. This whole idea was just very much what I felt was right there. And ceremonies are, I mean, it just made sense. It just made so much sense when we thought it up, first it made like this magic by non-casters. I thought, yeah, that's it. That's rustic right there. That's the manual.
Yeah, for me also, they are very. There have been a lot of attempts for circle magic. We've even made one of our own, but I feel that this, because I do believe that it kind of belongs in the same family. But this attempt that really grounds it and makes it more low magic, more, is it actually working, or is that just uh, for example, if you dance for the rain and it rains after 2 days, was it before you danced, or did it just rain after 2 days? This approach really sold me and really made me like this idea.
Yeah, it's important that these people who perform these rituals, they just believe that they perform tradition. So it takes uh, someone who kind of gets and sees behind these lines to say, like, okay, these guys are casting a spell and they don't even know, for instance. We
Yeah.
fell in love with this aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Regarding
is
the
something.
question, yes, yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Regarding the question about befriending dragons, I mean, uh, this is something that could definitely happen in a story, but we are mostly investing the narrative around what dragons mean for the world and them trying to stay separate from whatever happens um, in the world and just keep their corner and preserve themselves makes them more of the unattainable goal. What we believe the dragon represents in a story is the ultimate obstacle. The thing that why are people not going to that mountain? Because there's a dragon. Like who would try to test themselves against a dragon? So befriending one is an interesting concept that has been done very well in multiple stories. But that's up to the storyteller, I think, not the way we will put it.
That'll be like a
Mm.
reverse false hydra. You become friends with
Reverse
them
what?
and you are wiped out of the face of the earth.
Well, my question would be, if you befriended the dragon, if you became friends with something so primal and so ancient, how could you ever return to being a part of the community? How could you return to being a human?
What Andrea says now is the idea behind the Veilmark system. So the more you discover about the hidden world and these entities and all these primal sense of the old world and the hidden world, how can you fit amongst your peers? I mean, you cannot go back to your day job. You are aware of too much to just, sow the fields and have a daily routine like everyone else in a rustic village.
Yeah, this is
Well,
kind of like
I,
the same with. Sorry, go ahead, Democles.
I was going to say, I mean, even if you attempt to return to a life that you once knew, the things that you've touched on will continue to manifest, and they will then affect wherever it is you've gone.
Mhm.
Yeah, what I thought was that this is very similar to how City of Mist works. So for those that don't know how City of Mist works, and I may be paraphrasing some things, is that you basically have a logos and a mythos, and you are there are five parts of you, and some of these parts are logos, some of these parts are mythos. And logos is your everyday life, and mythos is your supernatural identity. So maybe someone with who is four parts of logos is an English school teacher, and they are one part of Don Quixote. So at night they fight windmills or something like that. And this also really ties in for me with the veil mark, because in City of Mist, as you lose your logos and start gaining mythos, you start feeling that I can no longer go back to teaching English, because right now I have to discover where these powers came from. What is this mist around the town? Is it four parts? So you can be two parts logos, two part mythos. It's not okay. I didn't remember that, but yeah, the premise is the same.
Yeah, there's four theme books, and it could be 3 and 1, 2 and 2,
Yeah, okay.
or the other way. And it's when they become four of the logos, they become sleepers. Four of the mythos, they become avatars.
Mm. Yeah, true. So yeah, this is very. Let me make Nikos a speaker. Is it working now, Nikos?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody is
So
unstuck.
also the Veilmark system, for some of the people that will get that, really reminds me of the insight system from Bloodborne, because as you fight eldritch horrors, you start understanding eldritch horrors, and after you get a certain amount of insight, then you get to see the giant eldritch spider that has been stuck on the side of that building for ages. But the problem is that now you get to see a giant spider that's been stuck for ages on the side of the building, and it can see you. So it's a double-edged knife, that you understand more of the hidden world, but you're also more exposed to it. It's not necessarily something that is positive. It's
And we drew a lot of inspiration for that from The Witcher as well, without putting
yeah.
the concept of The Witcher in the game, because they really need a Witcher in the world of The Witcher. I mean, they're hopeless. Like, things come out to get them all the time, and the only people who can deal with them are the Witchers. At the same time, they're scorned every step of the way. Like, nobody likes them because they're weird, they're unnatural. And what makes them unnatural also makes them equipped to deal with these perils. So that's what we wanted to put in the cornerstone of the Veilmark system. It has some aspects of the Cthulhu mythos as well, because yeah, the way it deals with knowledge as a contradiction to faith. Like, if you know something, you can't believe in it. While if you believe in something, you don't know it for a certainty. And these are like two powers that are of equal importance but are vastly different. Cthulhu does it really well, I think.
Yeah.
How is it
We actually
pronounced?
got a lot of
Cthulhu
comments
or
about the witch. Sorry, what?
sorry? Is it Cthulhu or Cthulhu?
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does, but also because I had this argument with someone, and because I saw an ad that called it Cthulhu, and there were many comments that said, "How are you pronouncing that so wrong?" And I got into digging how it is pronounced because I have heard the audiobooks for all of Lovecraft's work, basically for a project I was working on, and it's always Cthulhu. And I read that Lovecraft's actual he wanted it to sound like Hululu or something like that. Which okay, let's not do that. Let's stick with Cthulhu. It's called Clayton. Timothy. Yeah, what
Stephen.
Con says is pretty much right. The whole idea is that there are no sounds that can actually represent the names of the old ones and the eldritch beings. Yeah, so definitely everything is kind of right, but also nothing is kind of right. And now we're talking about Lovecraft. Yeah, it's okay.
And just a day in the life of derailing all the
Yes.
time.
To write is to rewrite and all that.
Any?
Sorry? Yes. I don't know. I have abolished the concept of rails in general.
It's a runaway train, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
There's stations, but no rails.
This is also why we don't have a map for Zamanora. We had one under works and decided to not put a map at all to enhance the feeling of nobody knows what's outside their village, not even the player characters. So uh, every storyteller could like put these adventure locales however they would like and whatever kind of biomes in between them, and we have the means to do that through the adventure deck, which pretty much every time you change regions and you travel from one place to the other, you draw biomes, and within these biomes are mixed the adventure locales themselves. So every time the map changes. We even have a little bit of lore on why this happens based on an ancient place of power of Slavic mythology, but this is still in the works. It's like a magical forest that's still in the works.
Yeah, this is where
And
the
it's
adventure deck comes in, actually.
Well,
for me, it's
that's kind of
sorry.
I was going to say that's kind of ironic because that's the basis for all of the Lovecraftian stuff. It's the fact that the notion is put there and then it grows, and then the fact that the books now exist means that they have then entered the consciousness of people that have read it, and so therefore that expands the mythos.
Yeah.
True, in a sense. And the idea is that we are aiming at a form of immersion when two different groups play two different campaigns in Zamanora. They have two different maps and they don't know which one is correct because they have two different maps. Because the people themselves in Zamanora cannot agree on where everything is. It's a different, how do you say, testimonies of travelers and stuff.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah, we
also
are
really
also very
looking forward
excited
to
about.
it.
Yeah, Marcus, we are very excited about the adventure deck. Actually, I think it's our second hottest add-on. The first one, and it really caught us by surprise, is magic item cards. We didn't think that people are so into magic item cards.
I've got to say at this point, because he's absent, George said it. George has been saying it, at least to me, he's been saying it forever. It's like, the magic item cards are gonna go great. And I'm thinking, no, man, there's no way. And they're going perfectly. But yeah,
Yeah,
George
yeah,
always knows the future. He's just that person.
yeah. We were actually debating if we should include them or not, and we just trusted into our mate, and he was right.
By the way, something that mostly concerns the Legend in the Mist, something that will be understood mostly by the Legend in the Mist people here, soon to be introduced to the 5e audience. Legend in the Mist operates on the three spheres of adventure, right? If I say it well, it's like the origin sphere, the adventure sphere, and the
Origin.
legend sphere.
Yeah.
Mhm. We have that in as a basis of creating the adventure deck, like the three types of cards kind of stand on the shoulders of this system of spheres. So, like the origin sphere would be represented from the biomes, where you are, where you stand, where you come from. The event cards would represent the adventures that you're having throughout these biomes and how deep you delve into them. And the legend sphere corresponds to the fable cards, which is the events that are not introduced into the game unless prompted by your adventuring choices. Generally, I love this three spheres approach to the game, and we have um, taken up taken it up for other aspects of our storytelling as well.
Yeah. Also, another design mechanic that we like to use, and I think someone mentioned something like this in this call. We're really fans of designing things as lake wide, ocean deep, which is that we give some tools that can be combined to create a lot of depth. And someone said that we don't focus on quantity, but we focus on quality. And this is pretty much the same for mechanics.
It's because quality can offer inspiration, and inspiration can offer quality. Sorry, can offer inspiration, and inspiration can offer quantity in the hands of the
Yeah.
storyteller. So what we wish to give is the tools to create infinite stories with, and not just a story that is
Yeah, and this is
single
something that
experience.
the Mist engines does exceptionally well because they give you such limited tools. They just give you tags, statuses, and weaknesses, and you can do anything basically. It's very, very interesting.
It just showcases the power of words, if you ask me. Like the Mist Engine is words, and it just shows how powerful words are, which is what I personally just love about it.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all grown well accustomed with the power of numbers, living in the society that we live. So highlighting the
Mm,
importance of words is really great indeed in a system.
yep.
By the way,
So I don't know if you.
shall I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, in case I forget before we wrap this Q&A up, because it's been really amazing so far, and I would be super happy to go over it again with any and all of you guys. I wanted to point out that there is a lobby channel in the Discord server where we can casually hop in with like spontaneously or like communicate it even to talk at any time, offer ideas, feedback, drop some content and discuss it. So this is an ongoing process. It's just that because we're a bit hectic with time frames, running the campaign and all that, feel free to prompt us at any time, propose it.
Yeah.
we can definitely do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and also
How is it
after
called? The
the
lobby. Sorry,
yeah, I named it lounge. So it's
lounge.
like the lounge. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Just to answer you
Uh,
really quickly, perfect. What you're referring to is basically the ceremonies. What's the
yeah.
rituals that people do to ward off weird spirits is one of the ceremonies that we have is for the exact purpose of spirit warding, exactly like you're saying, weird things.
I think it is even called
I will
spirit
give an
warding currently, isn't
example.
it? Yeah.
I'm giving an example to Perfect, which is the kukeri, which are essentially performing a collective dance dressed like this, usually with wooden masks. It doesn't show in the picture, and these furs, and they try to imitate malicious spirits, cruel spirits, so that other spiritual entities see them and they believe that this territory is already occupied by spirits, so they stay away from it. This is part of Zamanora as well. And we have a few ceremonies that deal with abjuring spirits, attracting certain spirits that do the society good, etc., etc.
Yep.
I will also add dance of the kukeri for further research if anyone is into that. We are also considering of having a part at the end of the book with all our sources for designing it, or not all of them, but the most important ones, and the references to the real life folklore that we drew inspiration from.
Yeah, about the last part of the book, something that is kind of on point but not that much is that we have been asked for a pronunciation guide because okay, maybe it's not hard to pronounce Baba Yaga, but maybe it is hard to pronounce Chlevnik. Uh, so we are kind of uh, just to get ahead of this, we are kind of still working on the final names because we are talking with experts of these cultures and we want to select the proper names because for example if when we Greeks hear um, Mars instead of Ares, it's kind of weird because it's the it's the Roman pantheon. So we don't want people that are from the cultures that we're getting inspired from to feel this. So we may end up with names that are extremely easy to read, maybe, but we will figure it out basically. If there are actually some names that are hard to pronounce, then we'll most likely add the pronunciation guide. So I don't know if there are any more questions. Maybe this would be an okay time to pretty much wrap things up. I don't know if someone still has some things to say.
Amazing,
Yeah, these are great.
amazing.
Partner.
So this is a thing that only our kind of hobby, let's say, I don't like the word hobby, but anyway, our hobby offers. You see a picture and you cannot even begin to have to fathom what's going on, and you can't wait until you delve into it and make sense of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay,
the
then.
itch.
So thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this. I will also message everyone who was in this Q&A and left before this point our sincerest thanks, because for us it's like a lifetime experience to have all of you here and discuss all these things with you. And it's
Yeah.
when we say it, it's really not just words, like we are truly grateful to have you with us on this. And we really wish to mold it together, to mold this project together with you. And Con, can't wait to also see you at any like convention. I don't know whereabouts in Greece you live, but if you happen to a convention that we have a table, I think the next one is going to be in April in Thessaloniki, the one that we're going to
There
participate.
is mhm. There's one basically
Don't
next to my
hesitate to
house.
come and, yeah,
Yeah.
please don't hesitate to come and say hi. We'd be uh, super excited to meet you.
Yeah. And
Well,
did you go to Cons Toyota in the US? Yeah. Well, who knows? Where, yeah, when we are billionaires, we will fly you in. Don't worry.
I was thinking that once this project succeeds and is concluded, etc., 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 we should just bring everyone and celebrate. Bring
We
everyone
will
over.
fly in all of the backers.
So that's a stretch goal. That's a stretch goal. Fly in all of the
Yeah,
bikers and have like a soiree or
yeah.
Let me go run the
Zamanora,
a
numbers for
nerd
that.
party. A nerd
Zamanora
party.
Con. Yeah, yeah. Nerd party. Yeah. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for joining. This was a lot of fun. This was, when you do that, it's always pretty scary if people are actually going to show up. So thank you for showing up, and we really want to try and do this again. We'll probably do it again. Yeah. So thank you for your time. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for just browsing. I think we can pretty much wrap this up.
Thanks everyone for
Yeah.
coming. Thanks for
Again,
supporting us. Thanks for being great.
yeah. Again, thanks to Yoda for being a guru in Discord and figuring out what a stage channel is or something like that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And we are quite boomery in general.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
All right.
So
So cheers, guys, and
Thanks
at
everyone.
any time, ping us, and we can do our best to get together over at the lounge channel and not the lobby, as I falsely said. Or you can get with each other and let's liven it up.
yeah, and again, feel free to ask anything. We try to get to everything. If you feel that the question has not been answered, please ping us, and we're very transparent. We want to answer as much of your questions as we can.
All the best, and
Yeah, yeah.
all the best to everyone. Have a wonderful day or night, depending on the time zone. And
Have a
cheers until next time.
have a good time zone, guys. Happy time zone.
Bye
Happy
bye
time
guys.
zone. Happy time
Good
zone.
night.
Good
Bye
night. Good
bye.
night.
Bye.